What's up, and welcome back to Opposites Attract Podcast. This is Sonja Ramirez, your girl, and I'm sitting next to
Miguel Ramirez.
What's up, everybody? How was your day?
How was your week?
How is your life?
Going.
It's absolutely amazing. Today, anyways.
It's pretty good.
No?
It is pretty good.
Yeah, things are going good. Things have smoothened out.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yes.
Well, real quick before we jump into the podcast, I just wanted to mention for people that are listening to the podcast, you guys probably haven't noticed much of a difference, but for those of you that are watching, you might have noticed that, well, the quality has gotten better.
Yes.
But we're also figuring out some things with the camera. And it turns out that the last couple episodes, they overheated. So it kind of cut out for the last, 20 minutes of the episode or whatever. But we're working on it. So sorry about that, but we'll figure it out.
Miguel's freezing me out.
Yeah. So because the camera overheated, I cranked up the AC for this episode. And it's getting hot here in Arizona, but you can't tell by what we're wearing.
No. Yeah. No. I came out in a t-shirt and I'm like, I'm freezing my ass off. Like my teeth are going to be,
shattering?
like, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I need to go get me something to cover myself up with.
Yeah.
So anyways, yeah.
So
doesn't feel like it's 100 and is it 100?
No, it's getting close.
Yeah.
I think it was like 95. We hit a record last week.
I'm excited.
Was it? I think last Saturday was a record. I think it was like 95.
Yeah.
And it's what? It was still, was it March last week still? I think it was.
I don't know, but this sun baby is happy. No.
We got to make that shirt.
Yes, we do.
We'll work on it.
So we want to thank those of you that have been a bit concerned.
Yeah.
Regarding our relationship. The last episode was a bit tough. We've been
the last solo one.
Yeah, going through some challenges.
Yeah.
And been receiving calls from family members and friends asking if we are okay. So thank you all for that. We're doing fine. I mean, just like with every other marriage
we're not doing
out
fine.
there,
we're doing better than ever.
Yeah, we're doing great. Every marriage has its obstacles and has its challenges.
Yeah.
And this has been one for us, but I feel that we are overcoming it. We still, have some things that we're working on.
But it's we're figuring it out. It's getting better. And I was talking to somebody and they were like, hey, how you guys doing? But then I don't know if maybe it was just me thinking because I had already gotten a couple calls like, hey, you guys doing okay? But they were like, how are you and Sonja? Mm-hmm. And I was like, are they asking me that because they watched the last episode or are they just because they could just be asking like, how you guys doing?
Right.
And, one thing I asked or I told them, I was like, I don't know if you saw the last episode or if that's why you're asking. I was like, but, we know that we have a good thing.
Yes.
Like the whole spirituality and religion and all that, like it's serious stuff.
Yes.
I mean, people base their family, their whole foundation and everything on that. But you and I also know that we have a good thing going.
Yeah.
And what we have, to me, is bigger than any of all that stuff. Because like I've said, I mean, it's us. This is a partnership. Right. I mean, you're before everything else. And the kids are before everything else. At least that's the way I see it. So when they were asking me, I was like, no, we know. We know we have a good thing. And it only gets to a certain point, and then that's it. Because it's just not worth it to go any further and like really mess things up because of it.
Yeah. Well, what happened with me, because I know I could be a bit stubborn, but it's because I believe 100% in what I believe in, you know? And I was taking a shower and I was just, I pray in the shower sometimes.
What, recently?
Recently. Okay. I told you.
I don't know. Maybe. Yeah.
Yes. And I was asking God, I'm like, I need help. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And, just crying out. And he said, I need you to have a talk with him. And then I had a talk with you. I need you to talk to him and I need you to tell him how much you appreciate him and how much you love him, but break it down. Just don't, break it down.
Yeah.
And he took me back to the time when my sister passed And there was a and the kids needed us. And before I could say anything, you were like, let's go get the kids. And we were only together for, I think, a year.
Yeah.
Or 2 years. A year. Yeah. After, because we got the kids in 2009. She passed in 2007. And when that situation happened, it was in 2009. So we were married for a year. And you, being the man that you are, stood up and said, let's go get them. Let's go to California. Let's go get them. Yeah. And and so he's telling me, what man would do that? And so it's almost like he made me, and I love you. I mean, I'm in love with you still, till this day. Like,
I love you
the
too,
love
babe.
is stronger than ever. I love you more today than what I did when we first said I do, But God, like, he just broke it down to me.
Yeah.
And he said, let him know, like the hard work, where we are today, the struggles, the obstacles, like we did this together. Yeah. And God told me to tell you, let him know, like, because I know that God's always been in my life. Yeah. Like he's protected me from so many things where things could have went upside down, where I could have died in some situations. And he walked with me every step of the way. But us together, the decisions we made, taking action when we had to take action, we did that together. He was just guiding me, guiding us, not just me. Even though you don't believe, he was guiding us. And so when I had that talk with you, that's where it all, I told you where it came from.
Yeah.
And, with the appointment, I feel that was also part of my prayer.
Yeah. What appointment?
And I'll go over.
What appointment are you talking about? And I love you too, babe. I mean, we have done a lot. Yeah. And you look at, like, we do talk about it here. It would have been kind of cool if we started podcasting. This podcast would probably be pretty big if we started like 10 years ago. Right?
Oh, because they would totally
It would be from one place to another. I mean,
and we should get into our struggles. I think we should get in. I think because we did at the beginning.
We'll get into some of that in a little while because there's something else that we're going to talk about that also brings a lot of that up.
Yeah. So while I'm, crying out, to God just to help me, to guide me, to show me what I was doing wrong. And he did show me that my heart was hardening. And it was like, I was starting to come back at you, not from love. I was coming at you with anger.
Yeah.
And that just never worked for me. But I just didn't know what else to do. I'm like, does he need a stronger woman? Do I need to go backwards and find that Southsider?
No.
No,
don't bring the South. Dude, one day I'm going to freaking
my ground.
Sonja's going to have the baby hair freaking pasted down to her forehead with the outlined lips and shit.
No, it's the big hair, my love, which my hair's already big, but it's just because it's fluffy. But no, like, I'm serious.
We don't need to take it back.
Like, I didn't know because I was that hard ass before.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, that's the problem. Your heart needs to go back to where it was, And so I just realized today that he answered my prayers in more than one way, because that night we had a talk. And then I think it was a couple days later, I had an appointment and knocking on this door, and this beautiful older lady.
You're so funny.
What?
It's so funny because you'll send me, every once in a while, you'll go on an appointment and you send me messages and you're like, oh, I had the greatest appointment. And I don't know if I think I might have already been thinking it. Like, you sent me, I met my new best friend, and I was going to send you like, how old is she? Because I know that when you go on these, you're like, oh, I love old people.
I do. Like, I feel that I was, like, I came back, but I have an old soul.
Yeah.
I do. I feel like because I just can sit there. Like, I connect well with older individuals. Always have.
That reminds
Always
me.
have.
You know how, like, we want to do things? That's a thing. Well, now is kind of tough because of everything that's going on. But, you know, going to like some of the homes and spending time with people. And
I was just thinking that. I would love to do that.
Because it makes a difference for people at that point in their life, you know?
Yes. And they're
time.
so willing to share though. Like they're so excited. They're so excited to talk to someone and someone be interested in them and their story. Like there's so much wisdom. There's so much to learn from them.
I don't know. We can try and figure something out.
So she opens this door and she is just beautiful. Like she is so well put together. You know, she has her earrings on and her hair is styled and her makeup is on point. Like I was asking her about her makeup because I suck at putting makeup on. She's 90 years old.
Yeah.
You know, and and so she answers the door and she has this bright smile and I can feel like she's just full of energy and light and love. Like I felt that instantly. And she welcomes me into her home, and her home is, I mean, clean as can be. Everything has a place.
Yeah.
You know, it's super cute, very well put together. And she takes me to her table and I knew that there was something there immediately. And I knew that she knew that as well. Right? Like we were both aware of something was going to happen. Something was going to be said. Something needed to be said. But I did not want to start it off that way.
It was going to be one of those appointments.
Yes. And I'm so glad she was my last appointment. Like God knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
And so we're sitting there and we're, you know, doing the paperwork and at first her hand wasn't shaking. And then she's like, I'm sorry. She's like, you know, it tends to do that when I sign or I write, you know, too much. And I told her, I'm like, it's okay. I'm like, take all the time you need.
Well, this is the thing is that you were telling me before that, I think you were pretty tired that day.
Yes.
You were pretty tired that day. And before you even got to the appointment, like your thought was like, let's hurry up and get this thing over with.
Yeah. I even scheduled it a little early. I asked her if I could see her a little earlier.
So you can knock it out and just be done with the day.
Because I was exhausted. Yeah. And so, you know, just we were sitting there and once we were done, I just asked her because she had mentioned her husband.
Yeah.
And that she had lost her husband in 2018. And I asked her, so once everything was signed, I asked her, how long were you married for?
Yeah.
And she said 26 years. And I'm like, that's amazing. And she told me,
but she's 90.
She's like, yeah. Right? She's like, I have 2 kids. And she's like, but he wasn't my first marriage. He was my second marriage. She said. She said, my first marriage, I was married for 39 years.
Yeah.
And there was so much. There's so much. And she said that with her first marriage, like he was the love of her life. And that she never thought that she would remarry. Like just never thought. Because she felt that he was her soulmate. And she lost him to cancer.
Yeah.
And so she said that she's like, everything happens for a reason. Everything. She's like, pay close attention to that little voice. She said, because that little voice will lead you to where you need to be.
Yeah.
She said, my friend, she's like, we were living in an community 55 years and older. She said, and there was, you know, this bar that my husband and I, first husband and I, you know, would go to, and we would just go have drinks and listen to music and have a good time. Well, my friend had lost her husband a couple of years ago and she was still grieving. And I felt like I needed to help her, like I needed to get her out.
Yeah.
So I asked her if she would like to go to this bar. And by this time, she's 60 years old. Okay, so she's 60 years old. And she's like, and I thought, you know, I'm going to take her out and get her, you know, maybe some, you know, we can listen to some music and, you know, have a soda or tea, whatever. And she's like, so I asked her if she would like to go out. And we went out. And I told her that when she was ready to go, that we would leave. So I take her to this bar and we're having a good time. We're talking, she said. And then she's like, and then another friend of mine that I know comes to me and says, there's a gentleman over there that would like to meet you. Yeah. And she looked at him and she's like, I'm not here to meet anybody, you know?
Yeah.
And then she said, all of a sudden he picks me up because she's real tiny. She's very petite. She's so cute.
Yeah.
He picks me up and takes me, like literally picks me up and takes me to this table and introduces me to this man sitting at this table.
Yeah.
And the man, you know, we start talking and he asked me if
wait a minute,
I want to dance.
Somebody else picked her up?
A friend. It's a friend that she knows in the community.
Like,
in the
damn.
Community. Yeah, it's so cool.
I was like, that sounds pretty aggressive. He's just, hey, go pick her up and bring her here. You know?
Yeah, no. It was in a friendly.
And then all of a sudden you're sitting there, Dad's like, whoop, you get fucking picked up.
Like a friendly, fun kind of, you know.
Yeah.
And because she has that personality too.
Yeah.
Like she's just very bubbly, you know. And so, and then she's like, I started talking to this man and we end up hitting it off and he asked me to dance. And I'm like, I haven't danced in years. And he takes her to the dance floor and she's like, he did not know how to dance. Like he's never danced.
Yeah.
But he had, you know, the courage to get on the dance floor. He wanted to dance even though he didn't know. And we were dancing and, you know, my friend, after a while, she was ready to go. And so we ended up leaving. She's like, and I went home. She's like, and I was wearing my gray suit. It's so cute because I could see a little me in her while she's talking. She's like, I'm wearing, you know, my gray suit and my boots. And I remember taking off my boots and I was undressing. And all of a sudden, I felt like I needed to go back. She said, after I dropped my friend off. And she's like, I felt like I needed to go back.
Uh-huh.
She said, so I went back by myself. She said, and there he was, sitting at the table like he was waiting for me with my drink. And so I walk up to the table and he looks at me and he smiles and said, your drink was waiting for you.
That's crazy.
So it's almost like he knew she was going back.
Yeah.
And so they closed down the bar. He walked her home. Yeah. And she said, he asked me if he can come over tomorrow. And I said yes.
That's cool.
And he never left. Like that was like, she's like,
that was it.
And I never expected that to happen.
And
like
that was
ever.
After a 40-year relationship.
But she was single for a long time. Yeah. She hadn't been to the bar.
No, but for her to find somebody that she's with for 40 years and find somebody else. Yeah.
Right. And she said that they ended up leaving the community because all their friends were passing.
Yeah.
You know, like all their good friends were passing. And they ended up buying a house together. And the house that they have that she's living in today is a house that was remodeled for her. So after the signing, she took me for a tour of the house.
Yeah.
Okay. And I loved her cabinets. And she's like, he did everything. These cabinets were all built from his hands. And the floor, cool. The tile was built. It was our work. Like we did this together. She's like, I feel him, he's here with me, you know? And she took me from room to room and she took me to this one room and there was a picture of both of them.
Yeah.
And it was so beautiful. And, you know, I could see like her eyes, she was starting to tear up and I was sharing with her what I was feeling because I felt God's presence very strong. We were crying together. She told me that in the middle, because she ended up losing him too.
Yeah.
To cancer. And while she was losing him, she lost her daughter at the age of 50.
Damn.
Here she is, this beautiful woman with life, just full of life, smiling. She outlived 2 husbands and lost a daughter, but is still full of joy, you know?
Yeah.
And she said, and get this, he was 6 years younger than me. I never thought I would be with a younger man. And I'm thinking to
That's
myself, I understand how you feel. Because that's exactly how I felt when I met my husband. And he is 6 years younger than I at times, right?
Yeah, at times.
Because it's 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to her about my prayer with God and what we were and what, we were going through. And she grabs both of my hands and she's holding them in her hands and she looks at me with like so much love and so much care and so tender. And she said, I'm agnostic.
Yeah.
And my husband was Lutheran. He was religious.
Yeah.
She said, don't you ever feel that you have to explain your husband's belief to anybody, she said. And so I'm like getting all these messages from God, what I feel is God, right?
Yeah.
One after another, after another. She said, never look back. She's like, things are going to happen in your life. She's like, never give up on love. Never give up with what you have. Because from what I hear, she's like, the love that you and your husband have is pure. She's like, never give up on that. And never look back. She said, because the future has so much in store. She's like, even when life gets hard, be excited about what tomorrow brings.
That's good.
And there was so much more. Like she took me in the back. They have an Arizona room.
Yeah.
And she introduced me to him because she has his ashes right in this. And she's like, and this is where we chit chat. She's like, and I visit him every time I can. And he's waiting for me. She said, because when I pass, our ashes are going to be mixed.
That's cool.
And then I can't remember where she told me that her daughter, but she told her daughter where she wants them to be laid out.
Yeah.
But listening to her story, and there was so much more. I mean, we were together for quite some time. She said that with her second husband, he lived a mile away from her and her first husband. And that they would take their dogs to the same park. Like his wife passed and her husband passed, but they would always cross paths. Like his mailbox was at their old in front. Like they lived in the same community. They found out that they ended up living in the same community.
What? Didn't you say like they would be like around the block from each other at times?
Yes.
At the same time and not even know it.
But never
cross paths.
Right. And she said when we started realizing it, and that's the thing, like she, they were crossing each other's path, but it just wasn't their time to meet yet.
Yeah.
But it's so amazing, like just everything. And I knew that she was feeling what I was feeling. And even though she was agnostic and she believes in energy and I believe in energy. I believe in all of that.
Yeah.
But for me, that is God. And for her, it's something else. And it's okay. Like we connected on such a deep level. And she said, you and I were supposed to meet. And you and I are supposed to be friends. Close friends, she said.
Yeah. That's cool.
And that day, like we laughed together.
You've been talking about her ever since.
I know. We cried together. Like we hugged. Like there was and for a stranger, like let me tell you.
Yeah.
I feel so much love for this woman that I just met. I never knew that I could love a stranger like this. Yeah. And for me, that is God. When I talk to you,
it is. I've had those feelings before.
Yes. Like for me,
I just
God.
don't equate that as God, but I've had those feelings where you
You know?
Yeah.
And I'm just seeing. I'm making sure that I'm not forgetting.
I was gonna mention
there's
something.
So much.
So for those of you, you can look at your stuff. For those of you out there that would like to see Sonja's friend, Sonja actually posted a picture of her a couple days ago. So if you go back through our social media or Sonja's social media, you'll see a picture of Catherine, which is Sonja's friend that she met.
So listening to her story, it was so crazy. Like when I met her, I told you this and you were like, what? Like I seen a young woman,
Yeah.
in an older woman's body. Like that's how I felt. Like I felt her spirit was very young.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird? And then you asked me, you said what you were feeling, was it between you and her or was there something else?
Yeah, I said, was that connection that you guys had, was it between you and her, or did you feel that it was you, her, and something else?
Yes. And I felt that there was something else, like a higher, I don't know, energy, a vibration. I can't explain it.
Yeah.
So I call it God.
Yeah.
And her and I, and even though she knows what I believe and I know what she believes, none of that mattered.
Yeah.
And there's so many messages that I got from this divine appointment. Messages that were sent to me for us.
Yeah. That's cool.
And those are the things that you can't explain. Like you can't, and I can't even share with you what I was feeling.
It's not the same.
No, it's not. But I can still feel it.
Yeah.
Like because I take myself back to that appointment and I can still feel it. And it's so beautiful and so pure. And that's what life is about. Just slowing down enough so that you don't miss God's wink. That's what I call those, like little God's winks, like little things that are unexplainable that happen. But sometimes we are so busy in life. We are so caught up with life, with stuff that's happening to us, things that we are going through. We're so stuck on social media and chasing at times success, right?
Yeah.
That we don't see these little
the winks
or miracles. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like when they say, what is a miracle? To me, this is unexplainable. Like this to me is like a miracle. This is something that,
Yeah.
But I absolutely love this woman and I just met her. Like I can't wait to go visit her because she was talking to me and she's like, hey, do you shop at the Goodwill? And I'm like, yeah, I've shopped at the Goodwill. She's like, well, there's a Goodwill right over here at my house. And on Saturdays, it's like half off. And I'm like, that would be very nice. We should go shopping together. And she's like, I would love that.
That's
like,
cool.
I can't wait.
I go hang out with your 90-year-old friend?
To go hang out with her.
That's funny.
That's
cool. That's really cool. Yeah. And I think it'll be good for both of you.
Yeah. And I asked her, I'm like, she's like, you can take off your mask, honey. And I'm like, no. I'm like, I'm fine, with wearing it. I'm like, and she's I forgot what I was gonna say.
You could take your mask off?
There was a point there was a reason why I was saying that.
There was a video that I was watching earlier in the week, and it just, I don't know, it's like these YouTube things that every once in a while you get on YouTube and it suggests like the random video. It's one of those things that we've talked about. It's like YouTube knows you better than you know you.
Scary.
But anyway, one of the videos that popped up was like life advice from a 103-year-old man.
Yes.
And it was like 2 minutes, or it was short.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much all he said was, take risks.
Yes.
That was it.
you know, and I know your mom's going to watch this podcast and she's like going to be like, Sonia, did you get your journal? Like and she sent me journals. I just use them for like spiritual journals and other things. But
Yeah.
I think I'm going to write I'm going to have a short book. Like I'm going to probably end up writing a book regarding all these stories because it happens to me like all the time, right?
Yeah.
Like things like this. And it's always with older individuals, right?
Not always.
Not most of them.
Yeah,
a lot of them.
a lot.
And yes. And I'm like, priceless. Like the information, the little tips that, I get from them, it's priceless. And I put a post on Facebook regarding this, regarding my experience with her, but it wasn't as detailed because I would have been writing forever.
Yeah.
But so many people commented on it, and so, and were touched by the post.
That's cool.
And I didn't even share, everything.
It was just a piece of it.
Right. So
maybe we can
I need to
make
get on
a
top
clip
of
and
that.
put this on that post and people could see or
Yes.
listen to
that's a
more
good
of
idea.
what it was about.
That's a good idea.
Maybe we can do that.
Yes. And ever since the message from God that I shared with you,
Yeah.
things have been better.
Yeah.
Like I've been more open. I've, and I know that that's something that even though I feel so strong about what I feel and what I believe.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that I need to shut you off or close you off about things that you share with me.
And that's what I had brought up to you like this past week. When we kind of look at the support for each other's beliefs, even though I do come at you, I feel like I have supported you, because I have gone to church with you since the beginning. I haven't tried to keep you from going to things that you want to go to. Like I encourage you to go to stuff if you want to go to it. Even to this day, if you want to go on a retreat, I'm like, go for it. I wouldn't keep you from doing that stuff, So,
and you don't give me a hard time. So you have been supportive. But what was happening was that I felt like you were trying to get me to believe what you believe. And my faith and my belief in God is so, so strong. And that's where my defense, like where I started getting upset because I felt like you were trying to change what I believe.
What it was. So kind of like we were watching a video yesterday that wasn't, and this is something that I also wanted to talk about when it comes to this whole thing. I have a hard time. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, but I understand that people base, like we said, this is the foundation for their family, for their lives.
Right.
Like people believe this 100%. I don't
believe in religion.
I don't believe in religion or like gods and all that kind of stuff. I believe that maybe something started what we have today, but nobody really knows what it is. Anyway, whatever. You guys have heard what I believe. But I do understand that people see, like, this is a very, very serious thing for other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like being disrespectful, even if I don't feel that it's true. You know what I mean? Because there are people that I care about that this is very serious to them.
Right.
And like I said, regardless of the fact, to me specifically, like, the way I see it is like, if it's not true, then why would I have it ruin a relationship with somebody? Like, do your thing. I'm not gonna approach, but I mean, you're my wife, so it's different. You know what I mean? But I do try not to be disrespectful about it. Like when I was bringing something up to you, like, I don't know, one of the stories from the Bible that I may not necessarily agree with, and I find something that contradicts it or whatever, and I'm like, look at what they found. I was like I'll say something like, this shit is crazy.
Right.
But in like using even like the lightest curse word, like after I would say that, I would be like, you can't call it shit.
Right. Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because and that's just part of like vocabulary. That's just part of talking. Like we went to go hand out some stuff to the homeless, And if somebody asked me like, what are you going to do? I was like, I'm going to go hand out some shit to the homeless. You know what I mean? It doesn't sound good, but I'm doing, it's just talking. But I understand that when it's not right to say that.
Right.
Or it doesn't sound good.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Anyway.
Yes. Yeah.
So we were watching this video, and it was a video that was more based on like archaeology, and instead of it wasn't like bashing religion. It was just kind of investigating and putting stuff together. Like, this is what it says, and this is what the archaeology says, and this and that. Mm-hmm. And, when I would find these videos and I would bring them up to you, because you're telling me about stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking to myself, like, wow, that's crazy. Like, maybe that can be explained. And when I find something and I would find it interesting, I would bring it to you. Mm-hmm. Thinking that you might find it interesting too, or whatever, like, because it isn't, it's the other side of the argument or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. But that's it. I wasn't bringing it to you like as an attack or to make you think differently. It's just like, I found it interesting. Maybe you would want to see it. I don't know, but that's never, my intent is never, to disrespect people or their beliefs or whatever, I mean, if that's what you believe, then that's fine. But I think also that the respect should go both ways. That is something that a lot of times doesn't go both ways. You know what I mean? Like, people will look at me like I'm the outcast because I don't believe.
Oh, gotcha. I'm like, because I never disrespected you and your beliefs.
No. I'm not saying you, but I'm just saying like people in general. Like, it does happen.
People judge all the time.
You know what I mean?
Regardless of religion.
I mean, well, you used to say, you don't even know what you believe. And it would piss me off.
Well, I said that coming back because I felt like I was being attacked. And that's when my heart was hardening. That's when I was like getting...
But you're not the only one that says that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that would say that to somebody that believes what I do. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, you don't even know what you believe. It's like, all right, well, I mean, I do know what I believe. And it's pretty complicated, actually, like the way everything started. But anyway, whatever. So anyway, if I've ever offended anybody or whatever, I'm sorry. That's not my intent, So.
Yeah. And everybody at church loves you.
That's cool. No,
they like you. Like, they're like, he's a really,
there's great people at church.
Yeah.
Too,
but so
I like your shirt.
Oh, thanks. You can't really see it because you.
For those of you out there watching, Sonja's wearing one of our t-shirts, Holy with a Hint of Hood. Yeah. What is it?
It says, pray with me, don't play with me.
Yeah. There was, yeah. But and it's got our little logo on it so that you guys can check it out. You can find it on Amazon.
Yes.
So you guys can go to oppositesattractpodcast.com. When you go there, you can watch the show, you can listen to the show. You can share the show. You'll see all of our social media there. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, all over the place. You can find it there. But when you're on your phone or on the computer, you'll see on the phone, you hit the menu button and you'll see a link that says support the show. On the website, it'll be at the top of the website. But when you click on support the show, it'll take you to our Amazon link. And anything that you purchase through Amazon isn't going to cost you anything extra. But we'll get a couple pennies whenever you buy something. It'll help out the show. We could buy more lights and microphones and all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't cost you anything extra, so it'll help us out. And also, when you're on our website and you click on the support the show link, you'll see a link to Trust Inc. And Trust Inc. is?
We are a nationwide mobile notary agency. We do some general notary work, but we're not really focusing too much on that because the signing agency has been keeping us super, super busy. And the difference is, as a signing agent, we are the ones who help you close on your loans. So if you're purchasing, refinancing, selling a home, you can request Trust Inc. to be your signing agency, and it doesn't matter where you live.
Excellent. And you can go to Trust Inc. directly by going to trustinkusa.com. Yes. We're also affiliates with Libsyn, which is who hosts our podcast. So if you guys have a hobby, you have something that you'd like to talk about and you want to put it out there, you can try Libsyn, who distributes our podcast to Apple Podcast, Amazon, Spotify, all the different places. You can try it out for free by using promo code OAP. So that'll get you the rest of whatever month you sign up in for free, and it'll get you the next month for free just for trying out Libsyn, promo code OAP.
Yes, yes.
And if you want to see some of our merch, like what Sonja's wearing, or we have t-shirts with our logo on it. We have phone cases. We have the pop sockets for the back of the phone. What else did we? We got some baseball t-shirts.
Oh yeah,
we got
there's just different styles.
And there's more coming. But if you go on to Amazon and you search Opposites Attract Podcast, you'll see all of it. Mm-hmm. And the great thing is that it comes with the Prime shipping, and it's pretty fast. I mean, I just ordered a shirt like 2 days ago for Joey, and it came today.
Yeah, that's
so
great.
It's quick.
So we have a lot of good stuff happening. We've had several requests for individuals that want to sponsor the show. We are looking to take the show to the next level. So we're actually putting sponsorship packages together as well.
Yep.
You know, so we'll have a little more information for you on that and how you can become a sponsor if you own a business and want to help out the show. We can help each other.
And you know what? One thing that I haven't mentioned, I think everything was happening so fast, like all at the same time. Mm-hmm. But we have had some sponsors on the show that have helped us out. And here recently, like when we had Joe Coy, we had Joe Newman, like right after that. Right. And then, things just started happening. Like the quality of the podcast, everything we started upgrading some things. Mm-hmm. But in that time, right before we got Joe Coy, one of my friends, Eric Vogt, who was on the podcast before, one of our friends from jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
He hooked us up with a new computer.
And the Roadcaster.
And the Roadcaster that we record with.
He's been our first sponsorship. Yeah, our sponsor. He's been absolutely amazing, supportive, and
I don't know how to thank you enough, man. Yes. Like everything that you've done for us, like we really appreciate it. And you're the best.
Yeah.
And you should see the computer, man. That thing is badass. Yeah. And I built it myself. Yeah. The first computer that I built.
Miguel's been learning all kinds of stuff.
So if it wasn't for Eric, we wouldn't be doing the whole 4K and all that. It's been great. So thank you so much.
Yes. There are really good people out in this world. Yeah. And it's not just that. It's just in general. Like, we watch the news and there's so much negative information. Yeah. So much. But there is a lot of good going on in this world. And I think that we should, hear more of that.
Yeah.
On the news. Like, holy crap.
That doesn't sell. They want all the negativity and all the blue ties hate the red ties and the red ties are trying to do this, which is evil. That's what people want to hear, right?
Not us. You will not come to our house and ever hear the news playing in the background, like ever. It's just never on.
Nope. But yeah. So
I know that there's something you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, and kind of like we were talking about, like where we came from and all that. And there was something that happened. It started about a week ago, and a few days. Well, actually, we're recording this on Saturday, and for the last week, there's if you guys are familiar with rap music, the rapper DMX, Earl Simmons, he passed away yesterday on Friday. And man, like this whole week. So what happened was he's had some issues with drugs like his whole life. Mm-hmm. And he was having some trouble. You guys can look
throughout
it up.
His entire success?
Throughout his entire life.
Wow. Yeah.
And you guys can look it up because I don't want to get into all that. But he was really struggling about a week ago and it wasn't looking good. And I just started when I was growing up, mm-hmm. Rap music was something that I kind of found for myself. Like I kind of realized that at a certain point that rap music wasn't really something that anybody kind of gave to me or I'm sure somebody influenced me or whatever, but it wasn't from my parents. It mm-hmm. wasn't from my culture. It was literally because of where I grew up. I grew up in New York City. My parents, I grew up with my dad. I grew up with my grandmother. I would spend time with my mom and my mom's side of the family. Nobody listened to rap. Nobody. My dad listened to Spanish music. Mm-hmm. My grandmother listened to Spanish music. My mom, she listened to English music, but it was more rock mm-hmm. than anything else.
But it was your friends.
But right? It was my friends. Mm-hmm. And it was eventually I would hear the drums and I would hear the music and I'm like, fuck, I like that. Like that sound. And then I would start listening to what people were saying and I could relate to some of the music. You know what I mean? And when I remember listening to DMX's music, and there is nobody like DMX. And there's something that I don't want to make it about other rappers and all that, but his music, there wasn't anybody like him. He put everything into his music. You know, people in rap, like they would talk shit about robbing people, spending money, you know, sleeping with women, doing all this shit. Mm-hmm. But he would give you that. Mm-hmm. He would give you the stuff that he did. But he would give you the other side too, like how he grew up and how he didn't want, like he'll talk about like I rob and steal, not because I want to, because I have to. He put that in his lyrics. I mean,
but wasn't he making a lot of money? Like, why did he have to rob and steal? I don't understand.
Well, that's how he came up. So, and for those of you out there that are fans of DMX, if you go on YouTube right now, I think the BET channel or whatever, like they have a history, or it's just like DMX nonstop. Wow. Like they're just playing something, but they also have a series that it's called the Rough Rider Chronicles. So if you check that out, I think it's a bunch of, I've watched a bunch of them, but it's different parts and it kind of goes through the entire story of DMX and the Rough Riders and the whole thing that happened with that. It's messed up. Like he, in a way, like it's over now. Like the struggle for him is over now. You know, he's had one of those lives.
Yeah.
Like the fight is over. Because when he was a little boy, like in those videos, like he was a good kid. He was a really good kid.
But his mom,
yes, you know, wasn't doing what she was supposed to do. His father left when he was like 6 or 7.
He didn't have the support. He didn't have the love. He didn't have stability.
He used to get straight A's in school.
Yep.
There was one summer where like I don't know if it's like his mom didn't care, but he was locked in his room for an entire summer, not doing anything wrong. He spent the entire summer in his room, and the only time that he would come out was to go to the bathroom or to get something to eat. Besides that, he would be forced in it, or I think he might have been locked in his room. He said that he had a window and he would see kids playing outside.
Aww.
He said that during the summer, he did all his schoolwork over again because he had nothing to do. He read every fucking book in that room twice.
Yeah.
He was a good kid.
See,
he ended up, because I think his mother wouldn't take care of him or whatever, they sent him to like a boarding school, like an institution. Mm-hmm. And it completely changed him. And then when you listen to his lyrics, they're fucking hard lyrics, like that you hear and you're like, damn.
Yeah.
But then
like I never really listened to.
He'll have other songs.
Yeah.
And he'll put you through all the pain and all the struggle that he went through. And that's why I'm saying like he didn't want to be that person.
Yeah. You were sharing his music with me and I listened to his music, but I was one of those, like I never really listened to the words. I listened to the beat, you know? And then when you had me listen to to his music the other day, you were telling me about the words and I'm like, man, this is really rough, especially knowing that he sang about his experiences. Like he lived. When you listen to his music, you're getting a glimpse of his
for a ride.
Life. Yes. And that's why I talk about as adults, man, I hope every one of you that's listening to this podcast, because I say it over and over and over again, like to slow down. And what I mean by that is that if there is something in your life right now, like your triggers, I mean, if you had a rough life growing up and maybe you don't remember your childhood like me, right? There's some things that I'm growing through, having to go back so that I can heal from those past traumas, so that I don't have those triggers, so that I can help other people. But when you have that rough of a start as a child, that's going to pour into your adult life. You know, there is this
You know what?
it's called Panther. Or wait, not Panther, sorry. Python. It's a YouTube video, and it talks about how one thing could lead to another, can lead to another, can lead to another.
Yeah.
You know? And it talks about smoking cigarettes, drinking, drugs, sex, like, and they talk about the life of Tupac. They talk about the life of Biggie, and the python is the snake that's slowly wrapping it's wrapping around you, and it's slowly killing you. It's slowly, you know, and it's like a lot of times you are unaware why you're having these suicidal thoughts. You're unaware where this anxiety and fear and all this is coming from, because you are unaware. You think that just because you forget or you push things down, you know, the hurt, the pain, and everything that you've gone through, that it's done and it's over. And it's not. It's not until you heal. It's not until you face that pain, right?
Yeah.
You allow yourself to sit in it, you know, and heal from it. And most people don't want to look back. But in order to heal, you have to go back. You have to heal from all of that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. Yeah, so it's been tough. Like, I've been listening to DMX's music just about every day. You know, yesterday I was hanging out with Audrey and we played Party Up. A lot of these DMX songs I can't play around the kids, or I got to play like the edited version. Mm-hmm. But Party Up, you know, y'all gonna make me lose my mind
up in here,
like that
up
song.
In here.
You think that I was like, oh, that's a cool party song, and then you start playing the lyrics and you're like, oh shit. Like, he kept it real on that song too.
See, I don't even remember. Those are the only lyrics I remember.
Yeah, right?
Right,
and
yeah.
It sounds like but if you start listening to the lyrics, you're like, oh shit, he was keeping it real on that song. But you know, like the clean verse, like I listened to that with Audrey in the car and she's all bouncing and I'm like, you know, bobbing her head and bouncing up and down. And I'm like, all right, good. Like, cool. Listen to it. Don't listen to the words as much, you know, but, and yeah, it's tough. There was I was watching a video about DMX. Like, he was on Dr. Phil. He was on Dr. Phil talking about his lyrics, you know, and he was sharing, you know, where his lyrics came from. And there was another video that I saw with him, or I had read a story that they played one of his songs in court when he was going to court, or when he was being sentenced or something like that. But for those of you out there, if you haven't heard the song "Slippin'," I mean, if you're a rap song, a rap fan, you've heard of it. But there's a song called "Slippin'," and that song they played in court. And that song is pretty much a story of his life. You know, like how his mom didn't want him, how there's a line in there that he said that I was going to be the seed that didn't need much to succeed because he didn't have shit. He didn't, when he got done with school, he didn't have a place to go. He would just crash places because he didn't have a home. That's the life that he lived. And then he met a rapper. And he was like, what the fuck is that? Like, he started rapping and he's like, dude, and DMX started beatboxing. And then he met a rapper. And the rapper started beatboxing, or started rapping while he was beatboxing.
Right.
And then the rapper told him, he's like, why don't you do it? Or why don't you do this? And that was the start of him rapping. Now, they smoked a blunt after that. Ugh. But
how old was he? Was he really young?
He was 14.
Ugh.
But he didn't tell him that he put crack in the fucking blunt.
You're kidding.
And that was the beginning. And he said that, like, even DMX as an adult, he's like, how could you do that?
Ugh, to a kid. To anybody.
But to a kid, you know? But yeah, he had a really, really hard life. And in that song, Slippin', in the very beginning, he says, to live is to suffer. To survive, well, that's to find meaning in the suffering.
So deep.
That's the beginning of the song. And then he gets into it. So for those of you out there that would like to check it out, make sure you check out DMX's song Slippin' and all his other songs. It's tough.
That just made me really sad.
It's tough.
That just made me sad.
It's tough. But yeah, rest in peace to DMX. I mean, this is a hard one because, like I said, there was rappers before, like Rakim, Big Daddy Kane. There's all these old school rappers that if you're from New York, especially, like you're supposed to know about them. You're supposed to you're a New Yorker. Like this is rap music. You've heard of all these rappers. You listen to their music, but I didn't grow up in that time and I didn't have that influence. So when I started finding rap, or once I was already really into rap, was when DMX started coming up. So I got to see like all of it and hear the music. And I was like, holy shit. You know, it was just crazy. But I was also thinking like, what is it that makes people relate? Because when you do listen to rap music, like a lot of the stuff is negative. You know, it's like robbing people. It's fucking being a gangster. It's
talking
fucking
bad
shooting.
about women.
It's you're talking bad about women, and that's not my life now. But why is it that a person like me or like you could relate to that music? Because for some people, that music isn't just like sounds. Like for some people, they really relate to that. And it kind of reminded me of, well, I'm listening to this book now. We're going to listen to it together, but it's called The Drama of the Gifted Child. And what that book is about is just like how everything in your life, like you were saying, like now as an adult, if you ask me like, how was your childhood? I'd be like, my childhood was great. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it could have been better, but it wasn't that bad. You know what I mean? But then when you go back and you look at things,
you start remembering things.
You're like, holy shit, I went through this and I went through that and I went through that. And I'm not going to get into all that stuff. But
you shoved those things down.
Like if you ask me, how was it when you grew up? Did you grow up in the hood? Back in the day, I probably would have told you like, yeah, I grew up in the hood. But now when I look back at it, I'm like, nah, it wasn't that bad. But when you think about the things that happened, I remember walking down the street with a friend at night. And some dude opening up his jacket and showing me his gun and walking by. And I didn't realize it until after I had already passed. And then like I was like, what the fuck was that silver thing that was in his waist?
Yes.
Because I didn't think anything of it. And I just kept walking. And I was like, holy fuck, that was his gun.
Well,
and the thing is that maybe here in Arizona, not a big deal if you see somebody with a gun. But if you're in the hood in New York and somebody fucking flashes you their gun, and I might have been like 11, 12, some shit like that.
Audrey's age.
Yeah. You know, I had places got shot up.
Yeah.
People got
you shared
killed.
with me when you went out to eat at a restaurant with your dad.
Well, yeah, and it got robbed.
Yeah.
I mean, they busted up, they robbed the place. It was a sizzler, and they made everybody get on the ground. So like
crazy.
Those are things that I don't think about.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, it wasn't really that bad where I grew up. But and like the same for you. Like if you go back, and most people, you go back and you look at it, it's like, how'd you grow up? It was good. I mean, there was that one drive-by. There was that party that I went to that got shot up. There was,
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing, though. It's taking yourself back.
And what I'm saying is that when you hear this music, it does sound all negative, but I know what all that shit's about.
Yeah.
I've seen all those people. I have friends that are, and kind of like DMX, there's a lot of people. That's the environment that we grew up in.
Yeah.
And that's what you did to survive. And there wasn't people like, I mean, I'm thinking of, a couple people specifically that I knew they were good people.
Yeah.
I knew they were good people. They always just got into some shit, man.
Those are circumstances and situations.
And the people that they hung around with.
Yes.
And you know what? And I remember there was a friend of mine that he was a really good friend. And little by little, he started hanging out with other people. And we kind of started going in different directions. But I kind of eventually saw, and this wasn't like a conscious thing, but I always knew that those guys, like, I'm just like, I don't really want to be around them. But he ended up getting into a lot of trouble.
See, and I wonder what makes the difference. Like, why did you choose this route and why did they choose this route? Because you were smart enough to know I need to get out of New York. Like, this is not going to go well. This is not going to end well. And you made the decision to leave, to go live with your mom.
Yeah.
And then you ended up joining the Air Force. And those little steps for me, like when I start to look back at my life and the decisions that I've made, it's so bizarre. Like, why would I do this when everybody else was doing this? And the only thing I can say is that God was walking with me every step of the way. Like every step of the way, that little voice that said, you know what? That drug is not good. Ditching is not good, right?
Yeah.
Unprotected sex, not good. Like it was always that voice. And for me, that is God. And that's why I say, like, every step that I took, there are so many times where I could have taken the wrong step and literally fell on my face. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he was always there to guide me in the right direction.
Yeah.
You know? It's just crazy. Beautiful. Crazy, beautiful. You know?
Yeah. It's freaking nuts.
Yeah.
But I think, I was just kind of thinking about it. Like, I think that's what it is. Like, especially for somebody like me. And it's so crazy because when you look at people, you just have no clue. You have no clue where they came from. You don't know what they, like, if you look at me now, I mean, like, there's a lot of that music that I could relate to because I've seen it. I've lived some of it, you know?
Yeah.
When they talk about robbing like, we had a plan to rob a place. Thank God we didn't do it.
I remember you telling me. Yeah. You know?
Fuck.
Yeah.
But now when I listen to it, like I know what he's talking about. You know, it's just different.
Yeah.
And I don't listen to rap music a lot anymore. But his music really was different because when you listen to Biggie's music, it was good. But DMX's music, it was real.
That's what I was going to say. The difference is that he was living it, not just speaking about it. Like
well, not that it wasn't real, because Biggie's music, the rappers, their music is real. But even in like like Party Up, like that sounds like a party song. Mm-hmm. But if you listen to his lyrics, he's not messing around. He's telling you what's up.
Do you think it's because you knew his childhood growing up and his challenges?
I didn't know his childhood growing up.
Oh.
I've always known that he had trouble.
Okay.
But just recently finding out, because he's a great rapper. He's one of my favorite rappers. And just recently when I found out about the trouble that he's having, and then when I heard the extent of it, I was like, this doesn't look good at all. And I was sad. You know, so I started listening to more stuff and interviews and just like things with him on it. And that's when I was like, holy shit, this was so much worse than anybody ever imagined. He had it so hard.
Because knowing what I know now, listening to his music, like you brought it to my attention, I was listening to it and it made me sad. Like, I almost felt like I was going through it with him because I was putting myself there, and I was listening to his music different. Do you understand? Different, like versus listening to another rap song, because I knew that this was real. Like this was real. This was his life. So then you put yourself in it.
That song "Slippin'" he dies from drugs in the song. If you watch the video, he's in an ambulance and they're shocking him and all that.
Well, what's the song? I don't remember the song, but he's talking about having a conversation with the devil.
Damien. That's the song Damien.
And that, I'm just like...
And where he's starting to get the fame and the devil's telling him, I'll get you whatever you want. Mm-hmm. He's like, I got your back. And then now the devil starts asking him to do stuff and he starts getting in trouble. I mean, yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
So
anyway, something happened? Do you have something happy to share? No.
Nothing happened. No. No, I mean,
I have a whole bunch.
I think it's there's a lot of happy moments with his music. You know what? If you have a fight coming up for my jiu-jitsu people, if you have a fight coming up, you should have some DMX in your playlist. If you got a game, if you got something where you need to get fucking hype, you should, I mean, Where My Dog's At.
Yeah.
My Name Is X. You know, he's got so many songs, like they get you so fired up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, life, it's a reflection of our decisions and actions that we take.
One thing that, well, maybe we can end on something like this, because I wanted to mention this before, but I have this thought sometimes. And like I said, religion, with everything, I try to keep an open mind about everything. And you hear, and sometimes it sounds like a political thing, and I fucking hate how everything has to be political. Like, oh, that's a blue tie thought, or that's a red tie thought.
Oh, gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I don't follow any of that. You don't either.
But a red tie thought, or a Republican or right wing thought, or whatever, is that they're always talking about how you need to pick yourself up by your bootstraps. You need to help yourself. Nobody's coming to help you. You need to help yourself. And for the longest time, like I look at, you know, what we've done, and I look at the hard work that we put in, and we're supposed to be where we're supposed to be because of the work that we put in.
Right.
But not everybody's like that. DMX came out, but man, he needed a fucking hand.
No, yes.
There's people that need help. Yes. And it wasn't his fault that he grew up the way he grew up.
Right. Yeah.
So it's not that fucking simple sometimes. Like, oh, just fucking get out. Like, dude, just do it.
Right.
Well, it's not always that easy.
Right. You know, some kids are thrown into a life and it's not what they deserve.
The reason that we are where we are, like you said, it's just an accumulation of the decisions and the things that have happened. But for kids that grow up there, that's not any of their doing. And they're influenced by the things that are around them.
Yes.
And if you haven't lived like that, you don't know what it's like.
Yeah.
You don't know what that mentality is.
Yeah, you can't understand. And so who are you to judge?
And you don't know how hard, like, your personality does harden.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
When you grow up in the hood, your personality does harden. People are not going to fucking pull shit on you. Yeah. Because and you learn that little. So everybody's different. We're all different.
Yep.
And sometimes people need help.
Yep. So be that person, you know, be aware, be open, be willing, because we are all here to serve. We are all here to make a difference.
And just like DMX and all the things that he went through, you really don't know. You don't know exactly what people are going through.
Yep. So be kind.
Yep.
Be kind.
So with that, rest in peace, DMX.
Yes.
Make sure you guys check out the website. Go to Opposites Attract Podcast. You can share it with the people that you know. What you got something?
I was looking. I thought we were going to do this.
Oh, you trying?
You know?
Yeah. So thank you guys for listening. Make sure you guys go to Opposites Attract Podcast. Share it with I'm like, what are you doing? Go to Opposites Attract Podcast. Share it with the people that you know. And thank you for listening to Opposites Attract Podcast,
where we get better together.
Bye.